Today's episode of Game Geeks is sponsored by DriveThruRPG.com. Hi folks, welcome back to Game Geeks. I'm your host, Kurt Wiegel. Today's episode is a DriveThruRPG.com sponsored review of two supplements for the SpyCraft 2.0 role-playing game. The first of these is Origin of Species, Transmechs. The second is Real American Heroes. For a limited time after the viewing of this episode, these products are available at a discount using the coupon code seen below at DriveThruRPG.com. Let's do Transmechs first, because let's face it, when you see the cover, when you think Transmechs, we're talking Transformers here, people. That's what it really is. These people have now given us a Transformers conversion with the serial numbers barely filed off, and a G.I. Joe with the Real American Heroes. Now, the Origin of Species Transmechs gives you a way to make giant fighting robots in your role-playing game that can turn into other things, both human form and animal, giant animal, vehicular, even gives you the ability to turn into a composite robot like we saw toward the end of the run with things like Devastator and the Protectobots and all of those. Yes, I watched Transformers and I remember the Protectobots. So don't judge. Chances are you do too. What it does is it gives you the ability to create these using this engine. It has the main mode, the alt mode, which is what it can turn into, the spark, which is sort of its version of wealth, which sort of tells you how powerful and ultimately what your mech is available to do. It introduces the first master class, and I finally get master's classes now because they were mentioned in the SpyCraft 2.0 book, and I never really understood what they were for. This is your sort of singular thing that you can aspire to. It gives you a series of feats and abilities so you can turn into multiple vehicles, extra alt modes, combine mode, which is sort of your ability to turn into the big composite mech, or the Gestalt mech if you would, turn into smaller things. The things you can turn into are including vehicles, animals, like I said, humans, so you can have like a human Cylon version of a Transmech. It gives you an organization, which is a human organization called the Garage, that sort of allows you to sort of deal with and fight or try to figure out what these are. It sort of predisposes that most of them are bad guys. That doesn't mean you can't have some good guys like the Autobots mixed in there. Then it gives you a really good description of a bunch of Transmechs for you to use in your game. And finally, some adventures at the back to sort of get you going and get your wheels running sorry, for this campaign product. Next up is Real American Heroes. Back when I reviewed Strike Force 7, I described it as G.I. Joe with the serial numbers filed off. Folks, this is even more faintly filed off that you can still read them through than Strike Force 7 was. This is Real American Heroes. And what it supposes is it is a semi-clandestine military organization to fight terrorism, specifically in this game of enemy, NME. It actually stands for something. And you fight this, and it's got the bad guys that you fight, and it's all the technology you can get with several campaign qualities that you can flip on and off that sort of represent just how uber heroic and tough your people are, and how unheroic and bad guys and just wimpy enemy is with all their bad guys. There's a couple other organizations that get introduced. The Morrigan Corporation, which is essentially what Mars, which Destro was in charge of, and sort of their own versions of that, except instead of a silver mask, their version of Destro wears a silver hand. These guys are more morally gray, though. You know, I could see them as playing both sides, and you're never really sure where they are. The next organization with which you can be a part of is a ninja clan, the Shirabiku Ninja Clan, and that you can have good guy and bad guy ninjas that work with either the enemy or the hero in this. And finally, there are the Wreckers, which I was kind of surprised but glad they put in there because they're very reminiscent of Zartan and the Dreadnoughts. Sort of a Hell's Angels, but for real, crusading their way across the world, or America, to really tear things up for you. It gives a whole lot of new toys, gears, gizmos, ways to use the gear chapters to your advantage. It gives you two new masters classes, the Commandant, which essentially leads the heroic side of this. The other master class it gives you is the bad guys, your equivalent of Cobra Commander, who are your overlords. Folks, and it also gives you a raft of NPCs to use and the sort of gear that your bad guys can use against you. If you want a direct G.I. Joe uplift with the names changed, and that's about it for copyright reasons, this is the game for you. What else do you get from this product? Well, if you really wanted to, you could run G.I. Joe meets Transformers, and there were several comic books about that back in the 80s and early 90s. So if you like the rules-heavy SpyCraft 2.0 system, and you want to take a look at how you can use both Transformers and G.I. Joe in that setting, these are the products for you. As we mentioned previously, if this interests you, you can get these at a discount through drivethroughrpg.com using the coupon code at their site seen below. For Game Geeks, I'm your host, Kurt Wiegel. Good day and good gaming.
We average 9 new titles a day. That's over 60 a week. And we've got well over 15,000 RPG titles online right now. DriveThruRPG, the one true source for RPGs.